Welcome! Today we're going to learn how to purl. In previous videos we have learned how to make a slip loop, how to cast on using the long tail method, and how to make the knit stitch. These videos are a supplement to my beginning knitting classes. If you have any questions, if you would like to request a video or you have comments, please subscribe. Let me know. Your opinions are very important to me and they help me create better content for you. Okay, let's get started. So previously when we learned how to knit, I told you to keep the yarn to the back and we were inserting our right needle tip into the neutral stitch on the left needle. This is a neutral stitch, the stitch waiting to be worked into. And the front of the stitch was just to the left of the stitch. Now we want to purl, so we will orient the yarn to the front of the work. Again, I am going to be interchangeably tensioning the yarn either with my right or left hand, just so you can see how to carry the yarn in either hand and choose whichever method is most comfortable for you. Okay, the back of the stitch is just to the right. Here's my stitch, just to the right of it. And when I insert my right needle tip, I'm going to come in from behind. This is behind the back of the stitch. And my right needle tip ends up in front. To make my purl stitch, I'm going to take my yarn. I'm going to wrap over the top of the right needle tip from right to left. So here's my yarn, right to left, over the top of the needle. Here's my wrap. There's the old stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right needle tip and I'm going to push it underneath the strand on the left needle. Push towards the back. And I'm making sure that I keep my wrap. I don't want that to fall. That's the new stitch. Once you've got your wrap through, you'll slide off the old stitch from the left needle tip. Okay, one more time. I'm going to go push the right needle tip in from behind through the back of the stitch. The right needle tip ends up in front of the left needle tip. I'm going to take my working yarn, which is now attached to the very last stitch that I made. It's in front. I'm going to go over the top of the right needle tip from left to right. Here's my wrap. I'm going to take my right needle tip and I'm going to scoop it underneath the old stitch, the strand on the left needle here. Here's my right needle tip. I'm just going to go right underneath there, scoop back and slide the stitch off the left needle. One more time, come in through the back, over the top of the right needle, scoop the right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle, towards the back. My right needle tip ends up behind my left needle tip, and then slide the old stitch off. Okay, if you're carrying the yarn with your left hand or reaching with your left hand, you're going to do the same thing. You're coming in through the back, over the top, from right to left over the top. Bring the yarn back down again. Take your right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle and slide the old stitch off. In through the back, over the top, right to left, bring your yarn down and your right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle. Right needle tip ends up behind the left needle and slide the old stitch off. Over the top, underneath the left strand on the left needle, towards the back and slide the old stitch off. In through the back, over the top, slide the old stitch off. In through the back, over the top, and slide your old stitch off the left needle. And with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to speed this up. And again, don't worry about which hand you're using to carry the yarn with just yet. Whether it's your right hand or your left hand. Practice making the stitch comfortably or seeing how the stitch is being made. So we're not going, and this is knitting with the yarn in back. I want to purl. So I'm going to bring the yarn forward. It's always helpful to orient the yarn first. Put it where you need it to make the stitch you want to make. Take your yarn over the top from right to left and take the right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle to the back, slide off and through the back, over the top, right to left. Scoop your right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle, right needle's behind the left needle, and slide off. Over the top, right to left, scoop underneath. Over the top, right to left. There's my wrap. There's a strand on the left needle. My right needle tip is going right underneath and slide the old stitch off. The yarn is attached to the very last stitch we made here. I'm going to go in through the back, over the top, bring the yarn back down again, and then slide your right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle towards the back and slide the old stitch off. In through the back, over the top, scoop your right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle and slide the old stitch off. In through the back, over the top, needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle, old stitch off. Over the top, in through the back, over the top, right needle tip underneath the strand on the left needle and slide the old stitch off. With a little bit of practice, this is going to become just as fluid as making the knit stitch. Okay, so next video we're going to learn how to combine your knits and purls to create different stitch patterns. I'll see you then.